Now we'll try to do the balance sheet. We have previously done the income statement based on this partial worksheet for ABC Company. And we did the statement of owner's equity. Now we're ready to go forward with our third financial statement for ABC Company. So we need a heading, and so we're going to put in our heading. This is a balance sheet. And unlike for the income statement or the statement of owner's equity, which shows you changes over a period of time, this just shows us what the balance is on the close of business of a particular day, similar to a trial balance. And so we just need the date itself. Or you can say the words as of 4/30 of 20. Okay, now we have to have our assets in one section, our liabilities in another section, along with our owner's equity. And we need to make sure that our A equals our L plus E. This is our accounting equation that we have been discussing since the beginning of the semester. And that's what the balance sheet is going to do. We're going to add up all the assets, so that'll be our A. And we'll add up all the liabilities and equity, that'll be our L plus E. And those two numbers should equal, which indicates that we are in balance. So there are two ways you can do this. You can have your assets on the left side, just like this equation, and your liabilities and owner's equity on the right side, or you can have your assets on top and then your liabilities and owner's equity on the bottom. And that's more like a report, so we call that the report format. The left and right way is like the accounting equation, so we call that the account format. Okay, here I did the account format in the PowerPoint and the other YouTube videos, so here I am going to do a report format. Okay, so we're first going to have our label. This is assets, and I'm going to underline this. Okay, and let me make this a wider column. Okay. Now I'm going to list all of my assets that I have. So you're going to go back over here to your worksheet. You're going to see this is the balance sheet, so we're going to use the balance sheet columns. And everything that's on the balance sheet columns is going on here, except that the capital will be a different number, and we won't have the drawing at all. So, but all the assets, all the liabilities will be the same names and same numbers as what's on here. Notice there's no revenues or expenses on here. However, the net income, which represents the revenues and expenses, has now been added to our statement of owner's equity, and we will be using the ending capital, which includes the revenues and expenses, because otherwise we wouldn't balance. Okay, so we're going to list our various accounts. cash and accounts receivable, supplies, equipment. Now here you have to remember that accumulated depreciation dash equipment is a contra asset. Just because it has a credit balance doesn't mean all of a sudden you're going to stick it in with the liabilities. We don't owe out anything on it. It is an asset, it just has an opposite balance. All these assets have debit balances. This one has a credit balance. So it's still an asset though. We're still going to stick it in the asset section. Because it has an opposite balance, we'll have to subtract that number instead of add it like we're going to do with all the debits. Now, because we have a more than one account here, we're going to use the detail column to put these numbers in. So cash has 20 and we need our $sign, okay? Accounts receivable is 30, supplies is 2, equipment is 100, and accumulated depreciation is 40. Okay, now again, we have to subtract that 40. If you want to put some kind of parentheses here, or brackets to show that we're going to subtract it, or over here in the words, you could put less. Okay, there we go. All right, now I need all of these. Okay. All right, you don't ever want to mix whole numbers and numbers with pennies. So if you were doing this by hand on accounting paper, you would have to make sure your 00 and your dash is in the pennies column. Okay, so now I'm going to total these up. Total assets. And that's going to go over in my summary column. And let me make these columns a little bit wider. It's 12 enough. Okay. Okay, so I have to take 20 plus 30 plus 2 plus 100, and remember we said that we have to subtract the 40, and so that is 112, and that's the first number of the summary column, so it needs a $sign. And let me make this. Okay. Okay, this is also a grand total, so it's going to get a double underline. So I'm going to go into here and bottom double border. And I also need an underline under my 40 to show that I'm doing something mathematical with the numbers above the line. Okay, so I'm good with my assets. Now I need to go down to liabilities and the owner's equity. And so let's see, we need to underline that. Now I'm going to list out all of my liabilities. So I have two liabilities on this worksheet: accounts payable and wages payable. Since there's more than one, I'm going to use the detail column, and accounts payable is 50 and wages payable is 9. Read my underline to show I'm doing something mathematical. Now I have total liabilities, and that'll be 59. Okay, then we have our owner's equity section, and we'll underline that. Now for the owner's equity section, there's actually, we're not going to show the drawing account, and we're not going to show the old capital amount. We have to have the ending capital from our statement of owner's equity. This is why you have to do the statement of owner's equity before you do the balance sheet. So here is my ending capital is 53. Okay, so ABC, capital, and since there's only one number, I'm putting it out here, and that's 53. Okay. Okay, and then I have my label total liabilities and owner's equity. Okay, under this 53, I need a line to show I'm doing something mathematical. I'm adding the liabilities and the ending capital, and that equals 112. That is a grand total, so it needs a dollar sign, and it needs my double underline. And we want to make sure that our total assets equals our total liabilities. Okay, if your A does not equal your L plus E, then you have a problem. Typically, students' number one problem when they're doing this is that for the capital account, they use this 30 that's on the worksheet instead of the ending capital that they did on the statement of owner's equity. Or maybe they skip the statement of owner's equity. Some students like to start with the balance sheet and work backwards. It doesn't work so well. Start from the beginning, which is the income statement, then the statement of owner's equity, and finally the balance sheet. And use your ending capital, and you're more than likely that you will balance. Now, another common error is that they forget to subtract the accumulated depreciation. They stick it in the wrong place, or they forget to subtract it. It is a contra asset, has an opposite balance of the rest of those assets, and therefore needs to be subtracted. Now, I do take off